Welcome to the Abundant Life Family Podcast. I'm Bill.
And I'm Jen.
We're the Hildebrands. We're helping to build families that last. Today we have Steve and Jody Brown with us, and we're going to talk about intimacy.
You can say it, babe.
Okay, sex.
Woohoo!
Steve, Jody, it's good to have you guys with us today. Thank you so much for joining us and to talk about this subject. Oh, wow. But anyway, tell us a little about yourselves.
Well, I'm Steve Brown, my wife, Jody Brown, and we've been married almost 30 years this year. And we have 3 grown sons, 1 granddaughter now. And so we're empty nesters and enjoying life and loving life at this stage of our life.
Anything to add to that, Jody?
That's all I got.
That's all right.
Perfect.
Well, we got 4 boys, but we know you guys for years and years now and have spent some good time with you. In fact, a week in Kenya.
Absolutely.
Yes.
One of our best weeks in Kenya.
It was great.
Very good week.
We loved that. Now,
And we're also parents of boys.
Yes.
But we are now getting our girls through marriage,
We are.
and we are so thankful for that.
And we get to send them home.
Yes,
Their
yes, we
parents.
do. Yes.
well, as a youth pastor, years and years, I've always told kids, when it comes to sex, wait.
Right.
But that's not the message today, right?
Right.
So what do you think we need to know, and what do we need to talk about as a church podcast, family life, ministry? What do we need to talk about?
Well, one of the things that we know we do in our classes, marriage preparation classes, and merge, that sort of thing, and that's how I've been kind of started doing this class and this talk. We talk about sex and intimacy in a way that's relatable to people of whatever age group they're in. But you're right. I think all of us as pastors have been youth pastors at some point in our lives. I was in that same place as well. And I think having a message that resonates with people at different stages in their life is really important. So that newlywed couple, that couple that's been married 20 years or 50 years, having relevance in the message of how they deal with problems in their lives. And a great source of marital problems is sexual issues and intimacy. And so it's important that we stay relevant in those areas, and we have biblical-based classes and training, that sort of thing, that people can feel comfortable going to. So.
That's great. I know that, when we first got married, we went to one of those marriage conferences. And I remember initially being frustrated because I would think why isn't he holding my hands like he did when we first got married? And and I would get so frustrated. And I was so thankful that they actually would bring that topic up and talk about the importance that intimacy really begins with just spending time together. Yes. It is, holding hands and going for walks. And that's an important piece. Thank you, honey, holding hands. And I mean, Jody, I'm sure, just being a woman, those things are important to us.
Yeah, that's really what shows intimacy, in my opinion, is just those small touches, those small gestures of,
And it's funny, we are probably the opposite of most men and women. And my love language is much more about touch, and hers is much more about attention. And so I'm kind of the one that will instigate holding hands, that sort of thing more.
And I have to remind myself, that is his love language. And even though I can go a whole day probably without touching anybody, he can't. And so I have to remind myself, to make sure I do those small gestures so that he knows that I love him and I appreciate him.
And that does play into what we talk about a little bit in the classes we go through, is that, there's 2 main drivers of divorce. Or marital problems, may not lead to divorce, but through marital problems. And one is money and finances. And then the second one is sexual intimacy and issues related with that. And family issues, is extended family is a third cause, but the big 3 are those. And so, one of the things that I see as a pastor and working with couples is that maybe the last place they're going to try to find help for. They're struggling in sex or intimacy in their lives, in their relationship, unmet desires, or, and not being able to talk to the other person in their marriage about that. And so they're not getting help with that. And so as church members and as Christians, we should be providing those sort of resources for people. And I remember as kind of an ongoing joke, back when we got married, they had you read a book, and I can't remember what it even was at the time. It was a Christian marriage manual, and there was like one little chapter on sex and intimacy. And I remember someone saying they didn't allow us to read that chapter until right before the wedding. And so it's sort of a funny thing, but like, it's just not, yeah, exactly. Don't be prepared at all. But it's not talked about, and really in any circles. But, so having, if you're having trouble going to get help, I just saw a recent study talking about this, that there was a study of people that had been recently divorced, and overwhelmingly they said, had we got help sooner, we may have stayed married. We may have not got divorced. And so I think it's really important to realize you may see a problem and you see something going on, and you may not be willing, or you may be too embarrassed to get help. But in that area of intimacy is one of the places that people will not get help.
I was raised in a very conservative, Baptist home, and sex was definitely not talked about. And you were made to feel that it was something not bad, but not good until one night. And then tomorrow it's supposed to be fantastic, and you're supposed to, be okay with it. And so it's a hard thing in marriage, newly married. Some people, if you haven't had it discussed, or if it hasn't been, if it's been a taboo subject, it's hard. Then you're going to have a hard time getting help at all, because it's been something you haven't been able to talk about. And
it tends to be in our culture, it's either like all people talk about or they never talk about it. It's either, when we talk about it in the class, it's either kind of a godlike status or it's taught as being gross, and you don't talk about it. So finding that healthy medium and that happy medium spot where it's a healthy part of a Christian life with your spouse. And so it's just one of those things, having resources, having people to talk to. If you need to get counseling in that area, get counseling. So being able and willing to get those resources that you can. So
that's right.
So what do you, when you're in those merge classes, and we're right at the beginning stage of marriage, and we have young kids who are, what do you tell those young, men and women, like, how do they stay intimate at that beginning stage? We'll kind of start there.
Well, intimacy is about love. It's about sharing. And so, we do a good job of this when we first meet someone. Like when you meet someone and you first realize you're falling in love with them, at 3 a.m, if they call at 3 a.m, you're going to go help them with something. There is no, you may hate Italian food and they love it. You go, oh, I love it. They won't tell them you don't like it. You'll do things for them that you wouldn't do and that aren't normal. Like you'll go out of your way to make them happy and to serve them and love them. And what happens is little by little and day by day and week by week and month by month, we stop doing those things. And so it's, it's not a problem at the beginning, but one of the tricks of it, it's just so easy at the beginning that people won't realize when it's becoming more difficult, and they won't realize when it's stopping. And so you may get, 5-6 years down the road, and I always talk about that, that kind of that 5 to 10 year window where people start having struggles because they start having kids and they start having a lot of responsibilities, and that sparkle is maybe gone. So the real challenge is how to maintain that and learning each other's love language, learning how to relate to them. And it really is a lot of it as just this flat out desire to bless and love that person. We love them. We say that in marriage vows, right? We do a wedding, all of this, we talk about our vows. And one of the things we talk about is sickness and in health. We've been through struggles with health issues and other struggles, and that sort of thing. And so you've got to learn to love that person at all stages in life. And that does, we want it to be easy. It's not easy. And it takes a lot of work. I mean, no one that's been married decades will say it's easy. We've had our ups and downs. We've had our failures. And so, but you strive forward with that person to make it happen and make it work.
Yeah, putting that other person, like you were saying, constantly thinking of their needs before your own needs.
Right.
And I liked that you mentioned the book. I mean, it's infamous, the 5 love languages.
Yes.
I mean, I think that was the first book we read. And that's just like a really excellent book for anybody to read, to really understand, their spouse and to speak into their love language. Yeah. And you were going to say something, Jody, and I interrupted you.
Yeah, I don't remember, Jen. Thanks.
I'm sorry. I know. That happens.
I turned 50. It's over now.
Something Jody mentioned that is just kind of, that she said it's so important, is how you were raised. We all come in with baggage of how we were raised, how our parents we both come from homes where our parents were divorced. And so that does play into how you argue, how you fight, how you discuss things, if you don't discuss things. And so you have to realize, one, we all have our baggage. And sometimes we feel like it's a duffel bag of problems, but it could be a little bit, like something, it may not cause you a problem for a while, but, realizing you've got those biases, you've got those ways.
Yeah.
And one of the things we argued about when we were young was like how we spent times at holidays with our different families. And I was really insensitive to Jody's needs in that. And I really have regret looking back on it now. So, just wishing that I would have done a better job of that, being like, she needs this time. And I was being selfish. And so some of those things can be very telling in our lives. We really stress that as you grow together, that, realizing your body changes. Like I talk about this when I do marriage vows with somebody. Here you're getting married, you probably look the best you've ever looked in your life, men or women. But, I always joke about with the bride and the groom, like, they're not always going to be this beautiful. And realizing that we have an obligation in that covenant to stay as much as we can in love with that person and to work at that. It doesn't happen easy.
I think that's what I was going to say, is that it does take, like you were saying at the beginning, it's easy, but it does take intentionality the longer that you go to stay relative to each other. Like when the boys started moving out, I was so thankful that we had taken time during our marriage to vacations without them, to take date nights weekly if we could, because we got to, they're not here anymore, and I still know him and love him.
Yeah.
We didn't get to that point and be like, oh, I don't know who you are.
Who is this person?
Right.
I don't really like you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's just very important to be very intentional about spending time together and cultivating your relationship during those hard
I was talking with one of our boys recently about, if I could wish one thing for every person, the person I marry, is that you really truly get to marry your best friend. Because marriage is so much about that friendship. You really like that person. You really enjoy being with them. And what's it's difficult in our society, so much of it about appearance. And, what is the look of the time, or how someone dresses, or how they make themselves up. But we all know that's not reality. We all know that that's not good. There's no staying power for the most part in our appearance. It's going to change over time. And so when, we deal with people, we encounter situations in marriages where there's been issues with, pornography or body image, expectations, that sort of thing. One of the things I do when I teach this in the class is talking about, for men, intimacy is kind of the destination physically, but for women, it's the journey, it's how they get there, how you get there, how you arrive at that point of intimacy and togetherness sexually. And recognizing each other's needs is really important in that. One of the things I really caution with people is trust issues. When people start having issues with sexual intimacy, a lot of it is trust. They don't feel good about their bodies or how they, how they look, their appearance, that sort of thing. You always hear the old kind of sort of not a joke, but in a sort of a passing sort of way, like someone doesn't like their body in the light, like they want to be intimate in darkness, and they're just don't want to have lights on, that sort of thing, because they don't feel good about their body. And so I think reassuring each other and over time that we are going to change. We are going to look different. Our bodies are going to perform different. We're going to feel different. All those sort of things. We have to expect changes to be relevant in each other's lives. So
over time, it is an investment. You guys were mentioning that you have to continue dating and spend that time building and cultivating the relationship, because sex doesn't just happen. It comes from a relationship, and it's long-term. Our culture today talks about short-term, no expectations. Sex is just something two people do, and it's expected. But God's word talks about how beautiful it is when it's long-term and when it's within the relationship. And so, I know it was joked about in your merge class that you order the strawberries with whipped cream or with the cream.
Exactly.
And so date night, what does it look like to go on a date and to continue to do that no matter what stage of life that you're in, right?
Well, we joked about it because when our boys were young, we were just dead broke. I was a teacher in a public school. She stayed at home. Yeah. You guys have been there too. Yes. And sometimes I'll feel bad for our son that's newly married and have a baby. Like I feel like they're probably broke all the time. Well, we were broke too. That's just part of it. But I think part of it is intentionality. Most things that are truly can be enjoyable are free. We joked about, we used to always go to Costco and walk around. That was kind of our date night.
We could go up and down
sample.
every aisle. Yeah. And sample.
Yeah, when the boys were with us after church, we would go through, and we called them the chefs. We would go through the sampling, and the boys, are the chefs going to be there? Like, oh, yes, they are. Like, they would get samples of everything, and that was, they would kind of eat their lunch, and we maybe get a $1.50 hot dog and a drink, that sort of thing, or pizza. But I think being intentional, and we were very, very blessed. We had family that would love to watch our boys, and I think for couples when they're young, maybe finding people that have kids your age and taking turns watching each other's kids, just even getting a 2-hour window to go out,
or to stay home and cook a meal at home and stay in for a couple of hours and do nothing. It's not going and doing something. It's just spending time together and talking together and
doing that at home without the kids.
Without the kids. Yeah. Well, we to this day, we take a walk every morning, almost every morning together, weather allowing. We go on a walk, and I have shared that with people, and I have a couple people that have started doing that. Talking about how much they enjoy that. It's free. It's good for you to get out in the morning and take a walk, and that's just something we've done. Building. We talk about a lot of things in that time. You don't get a lot of time to talk, or like really talk to each other, and having a moment to sit down and like engage face to face and talk about things that are important. And you can be married for years and years and not talk about things that are real to you. And it's sad to me because I see that a lot with people. Like, they're not open with each other about what their dreams are, their fears, their hopes, their disappointments in life, that sort of thing. And so I would say the intimacy and the dating side of things, it can always be new if you make it an intentional thing. Just don't make it accidental when it happens. So
I know the most, powerful things that Bill has done that just said that he loves me is when he is very intentional. He'll plan something, even if it's just, packing, a sack lunch and saying, we're going to go, somewhere and we're just going to have lunch together. Planning. I mean, he's planned a couple weekend outings for us.
Sly dog.
Yes.
Not enough.
But it's not even so much the location as he thought of it.
Right. Yes.
He thought of me and where we went and what we did. It was just very, very sweet, and it just spoke volumes to me. And he also was just very intentional about what we talked about. He had questions that he'd been thinking about, that he wanted to ask me. So we were having really good conversation, and all of that is so important, as we grow old together. So
and don't just, when you go out, don't just talk about the kids.
Right.
Or don't gravitate toward the problems that you're having today or whatever, because then that just turns into, this wasn't an enjoyable time.
Right.
We're just continuing on with stuff that's making me sad anyway, or causing me frustration.
Well, we talk about things that we're reading. She's always reading things. I'm reading things, talking about what we're reading, not just Bible reading, but books we're reading, that sort of thing. And I would say this is the most free thing you'll ever get that I think is so important today for couples, particularly young couples, but older couples as well. Leave your phone away. Put your phone away. Don't have your phone out. I recently saw a young dad with his little boy, and it really broke my heart. They were at a fast food place, and the little boy was just wanting to talk to his dad. He was at that stage in life, just asking him all these crazy questions as kids do at that age. And his dad had his phone, was not paying attention to his son. It was heartbreaking for me. Because we talked about this, I would give anything to be able to go back with our boys at that age and talk on that level. And we do the same thing with our spouse, right?
Yeah.
We got half paid attention, and it kind of goes along with what we were talking about a little bit. In that that phone, it can be a gateway to problems in your life. We all as pastors, we hear all the time about pornography addictions, that sort of thing. You talk about something that can interfere with your intimacy in your life. Yeah. That is a killer intimacy.
Yes.
It's absolutely a killer for expectation versus reality and all those sort of things. But the obvious areas of lust and that sort of thing, and losing interest in your spouse. But one of the things that goes along with that is, like we talked about, I have to be in a place in my life where if we're going somewhere and Jody's looking at my phone, then I have she has complete trust in me and I have complete trust in her. That there's nothing on my phone that I'm looking at or that someone I'm chatting with that is going to be a danger to our relationship.
right.
And so that phone is a real gateway. Something people didn't deal with even really 20 years ago.
Right.
Definitely not 30 years ago or 40 years ago. So just a whole different level of trust and ability to have that intimacy with each other. So I really recommend that, man. Just if you're going someplace, you can do this for $6. Go somewhere, get a cup of coffee, and sit at a coffee shop. Leave your phones in the car and talk to each other face to face. We share coffee all the time, so I'd say, Joe, that we get one cup of coffee.
I was like $6.
It's so expensive to share.
I was actually
Where are
We share
you
coffee a
going?
lot.
share it.
Yeah.
She doesn't drink a lot of coffee, so I'm usually one drinking on most of it. But whatever it might be, to just talk to each other face to face and look at each other in the eyes and build that, particularly for men. If we want more sexual intimacy, give more emotional intimacy, engage with them more, talk to them more, and not just expect that we can be emotionally aloof and emotionally detached, and then expect some sort of intensity when it comes to romance or sex. It's just not going to happen that way.
Yeah.
And you may be able to fake it for a while, but over the long term, and again, we're talking long term, that's the way to ensure that it will maintain relevance in your life. So.
And I know for us, I think it's great when we are the ones who are initiating and being our husband's biggest cheerleader, and that helps, with that as what we can do as women, I think is really important as well.
Yeah.
And you've talked about when a group of people are sitting together at a dinner table or at a restaurant or something, if people have their phones out, the conversation does not go as deep and doesn't go as long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so even as a date night or something, we really do need to set that phone aside and maybe even take off that smartwatch.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now,
And now we're really going deep, though.
Hey.
But it is.
Now you've gone too far.
Yes.
It's so true, though. Like we trying to unhook. We've been trying. We've done a really poor job of it. We've been trying to do some Sabbathing. We've been trying to practice some Sabbath in our lives, and there's so many good books out there. Relentless Pursuit of Elimination of Hurry, John Mark Comer. That's
That
a
is
great
good.
book. Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. But just trying to develop. And what's crazy is when you find in your life that something is hard, it means it's probably important. When you start trying to do something and man, this is difficult, that means it's probably something we really need to do.
That's good.
And we've been trying to get like 4 hours of Sabbath, trying to work up to a day is like crazy, like crazy talk right now. And we're empty nesters. We don't have little ones at home, that sort of thing. But trying to work up to that and building into that Sabbath, that quiet, whatever you want to call it, your quiet time, your Sabbath in evening, where you cook a meal together, like Jody said, whatever. He recommends baking bread together. They bake sourdough bread as a family, and then they break bread. We've talked about writing our Compassion International kids on that time, like sitting down and writing, actually physically writing a letter.
Yeah.
Doing some of those things that we've done in the past. That builds intimacy, and that togetherness and that unhurriedness builds that emotional, relational connection. And all those things are absolutely critical, again, for the long haul, for maintaining a relationship over decades, not just years, but decades.
So good.
Making calzones is a pretty good thing.
That is a good
Working
thing.
together
We like
to do that.
What I do not recommend is hanging wallpaper. We've tried that.
do
Like
not
people
hang
joke
wallpaper
about
together.
that, but we literally almost had a throwdown over that. Trying to have birds on it and vines, and it was like impossible to match up. So do not, if you want to build
Okay.
intimacy, do not
Do
try
not
to do
do
wallpaper
that.
together. That is a no-no. Don't go there.
Canoeing can be a problem.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We've all camping and canoeing brings out the worst. I always talk about international travel. If you want to really know someone, travel with them overseas and go through customs and do all that together. You'll see really quickly what they're built of, what they're made of, if they're going to last in life or not. But again, as we I guess kind of land the plane on this, I want to really stress those things. Like if you have a problem, seek counsel, get help, healthy counsel. I really caution people. We've joked about this before, but like sometimes young couples will only get counsel from other young couples, and it may be the most dangerous counsel they get.
Yeah. You don't know anything either.
Yeah, we're all done together at that stage in life, but like whether it's raising little ones or marital issues, boy, the Bible says, that the older women, the more experienced women should give counsel to the younger women. Older men should give counsel to younger men. Being through things in life, one of the greatest joys that I have as a pastor is the young men I work with, the young pastors and other guys who come to me and talk to me. And Jody's got young gals. I know you guys have the same thing. But those young people who come to us for advice to talk, they know we've been through.
Yeah.
We've had our failures. We've had our struggles. So getting counsel from people who have years ahead of you and have done a good job with it. We were blessed with that when we were young. That getting counsel, getting help early on, and realizing it's something you have to be intentional about. It doesn't just happen. You've got to seek it out and be intentional about it. That is huge.
Being intentional. And I just got a call this morning from one of my sons. We were being intentional with encouraging him to find a mentor on campus. He's in college right now. And he called me this morning and say, hey, Dr. So-and-so is going to be my mentor.
Wow.
And so that was really exciting.
for him.
But being intentional, finding that person hopefully is older and more experienced that you can confide in and open up to. So we have pastors at the church, we have community groups, we have a counseling center that can even do online. Maybe somebody who doesn't live in this area, but still Abundant Life. We've got so many resources.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Steve and Jody. I appreciate you guys being with us today. You guys have been awesome.
Thank you so much for having us on here. So
I didn't get embarrassed at all, I don't think.
we try to keep it between the lines.
You did well.
Thanks.
Well, let's pray. Lord, I thank you for just the opportunity to sit down and talk about important stuff. And I thank you for Steve and Jody, the experience, but also the expertise and just sharing with younger people in how to have a close and a tight and an awesome relationship with your best friend. So I thank you for them. And I just pray that you help us to bring honor and glory to you. We love you, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Abundant Life Family Podcast. If you found this helpful for your family, hit like and subscribe below. And feel free to drop a comment or question below. To learn more about the Abundant Life Family Ministry and the 10-mile markers to help you win at building families that last, go to our website at livingproof.co/family.